Welcome to my blueberry patch. Let's talk dwarf blueberries. Blueberries are such a fun addition to the home garden, especially in these dwarf and container sizes. What's great about them is that you can put them anywhere, even if you don't have a garden. But there are a few things to keep in mind. Size and space, watering, mulching, pH level, fertilizing, and chill hours. No matter what kind of blueberries you choose to grow, you always want to be mindful of the size of maturity of how big those plants are going to get. So when you're planting them, you're not getting them too close together and you're giving them the best possible chance to reach full maturity and grow and thrive. The other thing that I did, I knew I was going to make this a blueberry bed, so I went and got some acid-loving soil mix from Coast of Maine. So blueberries like more acidic soil that has a low pH, somewhere between 4.5 and 5.5. So I wanted to give them the best start possible. That's why I used the potting mix in this raised bed. And now, since I've had this for about 3 years, the first year I didn't amend, but now these second years, these last 2 years, I have amended with soil acidifier in the early spring, which is mid-February for me, at the same time that I do my fertilizer. So they also make a berry specific fertilizer, which I like to use right when I start to see bud forming on the blueberry bushes, which like I said, is about mid-February for me. It's going to be different for everyone depending on your berries and your location, so always be sure to check that out. When it's time to fertilize or add in some soil acidifier, you want to be mindful that blueberries have shallow roots. So what I like to do is just sort of come out to like the drip line, which is going to kind of be the edge of the bush where like the water would drip off. And for me, it's also where I have my actual drip lines. I do this bed with drip lines. So then I just come in here, sprinkle the fertilizer or the soil acidifier, and then just gently, just barely, like this much, just scratch it in. Nothing too aggressive, and I can sort of do that the whole way around the plant. I will also sometimes fertilize again in another 3 to 4 weeks, just depending on how the bushes look and if I feel like they need a little something extra. Now, the other thing that blueberry bushes like are a little bit more of a wet soil. That's why it's important to have consistent watering, loose draining soil, and also to keep them mulched. So down here I use pine straw, which I'll show you in a minute, but any kind of mulch would work. Your blueberry plants will really benefit from a nice layer of mulch. Down here we use pine straw. Some people say that can also be acidic, but I have not found that to be the case, which if it does, that's okay because they wouldn't mind it. But it's just real easy. I just put a nice layer of that on there. It keeps their roots nice and cool and moist. And there's just one last thing to keep in mind if you plan on growing blueberries, and this is probably the most important thing, and it's chill hours. So chill hours just means the amount of hours in your year where it stays below 45 degrees. So that doesn't have to be all in like a row of so many weeks. It can just be a cumulative number. So for me down here in the south, that's a pretty low number. So I like to find bushes that have 300 hours or less. Chill hours, obviously if you're in the north, you're going to have a higher number, and you can have probably a larger selection of berry bushes to choose from. So you want to be very mindful of that because those chill hours are what's going to give you the best berry formation. Also, I like to make sure that I'm getting my berry bushes from a reputable dealer. I know it can be tempting. All the big box stores have, berry bushes out, and sometimes they do good, but I've never had the best luck with them. So it's usually best to maybe spend a tiny bit more and get them either from a local blueberry grower or even somebody like Stark Brothers. I've had great luck with them. I have some of their plants, which I'm going to show you here in a minute, and I'm not sponsored by them. I just recommend them. So what originally started out as just one 4x8 raised bed for dwarf blueberry bushes has actually turned into another half bed for blueberry bushes. I felt like these guys were a little smushed. I did not listen to my own advice about spacing, so I decided to go ahead and move them over here so they would have plenty of space. So now let's get into the varieties. These two here are a dwarf native variety for me. I always try to buy native when possible as well. And this is Vaccinium dorwari. I'm sure I'm saying that wrong. But this is a great landscape plant, even if you're not interested in the berries, but it does produce tons of little berries. How cute are these things? And they are edible and they are tasty. And again, just super fun to harvest, and it's a beautiful plant. I love the light green color. And then moving over here to the main bed, let's start in the back and work our way forward. So these back four, or sort of this way, are all ones I've gotten from Starks Brothers. And you can tell which way my sun tracks. I didn't talk about that, but that's also very important. Blueberries need quite a bit of sun. I would say a good 6 to 8 hours a day of sun. And you can tell that my sun goes this way for the day, and they would take more sun. That's why these back ones are kind of struggling, but this is the spot we're in, so we're just rolling with it. So this back one here is blueberry buckle. Again, another beautiful plant, and we're getting pretty good berry production. Not terrible. You can see I'm already starting to get some berries, so that's exciting. So this is a blueberry buckle, and this one is a blueberry buckle. And I've just gone ahead and covered these up to protect them from the birds, because I've been out of town and I wasn't sure how fast they would mature, so I wanted to make sure that I got some, but I may end up just covering this whole bed with insect mesh. This is why I have these on here. Okay, so 2 blueberry buckles, not bad. They have pretty good size. I would say they're probably just about at full maturity now. And then moving on to Silver Dollar. I absolutely love the way this plant looks. It's these big leaves that are almost like silvery. Again, I just love it. I think the coloring is so pretty. However, it's not a great producer for me, and I'm not sure why. We have a few clusters, but not really a lot. But it's beautiful foliage. And then same with Peach Sorbet, another very similar leaf color. Sorry, the sun's weird. Let me come down here. Not quite as silvery, but still very pretty. And I have a few, and they're beautiful clusters, just not as many. Whoops. Which I'm only a 3rd-year blueberry gardener, so I'm also learning as I go. Maybe these needed a little bit more fertilizer. We'll see. And then my absolute favorites of all time, the stars of the show, Rose's Blush. These are these bigger ones back here, and they have this absolutely gorgeous color, from green to light green to this kiss of like pinky bluey purple. Oh my gosh, I just love these things. These are, again, a native for me. A lot of people use them as landscape plants, but they do make tons of small berries, which are delicious. So again, if you're able to buy native to your area blueberries, I highly recommend it. They're gonna be the most happy, or the happiest in your environment. It's also possible these other ones may just be getting too much shade because these have gotten bigger. I don't know. I may do a little rearranging at some point, but not today when everybody is so happy. I hope you found this helpful, and as always, if you have any questions, please comment below. I would so appreciate it if you give this a like and follow if you're not already, and happy growing, friends!